All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. Nick here,
Varun here.
and we are excited. Sorry, we're 10 minutes late. That is my fault for sure. Got a little late running today. Whether it is Saturday evening, it's Saturday morning. How are you doing? Maybe if we're lucky enough, some Sunday early morning. Welcome to Boring Reviews as we spend the next little while, probably at least an hour or so. We'll see talking about this film that a lot of people would say was the most anticipated Indian film, especially coming
Yeah.
from Bollywood this year. Brahmastra Part One, Shiva. We appreciate everyone that's joining us here live. Please don't forget to comment and share your thoughts as much as you want. And then if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get this conversation going. Varun and I are going to share our thoughts, spoiler-esque. This is not a no spoiler type of review. So if you have not seen the film or you don't want to hear about it, then you might want to leave and wait until you watch it and then come back and watch the replay. We are going to talk all about it. We're going to share our thoughts, and I promise you, we are going to share our honest opinions of how we reacted to the film. There's definitely a lot to be said about this movie. There's a lot of opinions out there about this movie, and we're going to try to get to all of that. I just want to say hello to Kush, Radhika, Desi, Harsh. Appreciate you guys joining us. I promise with the comments, we will be paying attention to that as we're talking, as we're having our conversation. And every once in a while, we'll bring one up and talk about that. If you want to support the channel, liking, subscribing is the best way. If you really want to support the channel, you can go ahead and throw in a super sticker there, a super chat, comment, whatever you want. And we would appreciate all of that. We got some more in the chat here. Anna Mexo, and Niche. Appreciate that. So, Varun, you've seen the movie. All right. First
Yeah.
question I have for you, because when I saw it here in Vegas, there was very few people in the theater. But that is not unusual. Every time I see an Indian film, there's about 3 or 4 theaters around me, if it's a big film, that will offer it for
Mm.
1 or 2 showtimes. And sometimes there's 20 people in there. Sometimes I'm the only person in there. For me, there was 5 people in my theater, but that doesn't really matter. You're in India. You watched it there. I want to know, how full was that theater when you saw it?
So the part of India which I am in is in South India, right? So it will not have the same response as it probably have in the northern India because it's an Hindi movie. But still, on the first day, I went on the first show, 9 o'clock show on Friday. So even that time, I saw theater was like 75 to 80% full. So that's a good sign for a non-Telugu movie on Friday morning show. If it is 75 to 80% full, it's a good, more than a decent audience. So I think people were really anticipating it. The one good thing what the team has did is they have included Rajamouli in the promotions and everything. In fact, he presented the movie in South India. So because of Rajamouli, because of NTR, junior NTR coming into promotions and everything, so there was enough hype created in South India also. So yeah, that I think helped, and quite a bit of people showed up to the theaters.
That's awesome. And I love that, South Indian cinema has such a presence now, right? That they are
Yeah.
including a mastermind like Rajamouli in there in that promotion. Very smart. Desi says it was full for him or her. Appreciate you sharing that. This is a film that I was super excited to watch. Very, very high anticipation. I don't get too excited, or I should say, I never used to get too excited for an Indian film because I was so new to Indian films and I wasn't sure what to expect. But after watching them for about 3 years now, or if not more, I was super excited for this film. I posted my instant reaction. So for anyone that follows the channel, they've probably already seen that and they know what my instant reaction is. And I'm going to explain myself, if you will, about this or that. My overall reaction, if you did not see it, was I really liked the film. I think I said I loved the film. Now, the thing about an instant reaction when you're coming out of the theater, you're coming out with those initial emotions. And my initial emotions
Yeah.
was very positive. I really, really enjoyed what I saw. as I've thought about it, my opinion hasn't changed too much to really, really, really liking it, or even closely to really loving it. But I have thought about the reasons why I loved it. And of course, there's some issues I had with the film that we'll talk about. The question I had, Varun, is what was your initial reaction? What did you feel? And you can go into spoiler territory or not, it's up to you. What was your reaction after you saw the movie yourself?
So immediately after watching the movie and when I was coming out of the theater, my feeling was I liked it a lot. I did not love it. There are aspects of it I really loved it, and there are aspects which are okayish, and there were some aspects which could have been avoided. So it was mixed feeling, but overall, when I thought about it, my feeling was yes, I liked it a lot. So that was my initial feeling. So one thing which I was very much satisfied, or which was I was looking forward for that, is the universe itself. Right, it is a pretty new universe. Even though we are Indians, we are Hindus, it is there in our history, and it is there in the books. But not everyone are super into it. Not everyone will have all the information about it. Especially people nowadays are studying in English medium schools and everything, so they might have not have a complete information about this side of the history. So what I liked it, they explained it in the movie. The first 10 minutes they took time to explain what is this universe, what are the astras and everything. Not only for us, people like you who might have not have any knowledge, right? So it was good that they have explained it to everyone. That aspect, immediately I saw it first 10 minutes, I was happy with the explanation what they have given. I was immediately into that world.
Yeah, and for me, that was one thing I was really nervous about. Am I going to understand it, not knowing, Hinduism too much or this or that? And they did a great job explaining. I think for people that are well versed in it, they might think it was too much explanation. But I personally, I don't mind exposition. I don't mind background information. It for me, it kind of
Mm.
adds to the lore of the film itself. It adds to just kind of like the world building, if you will. But a lot of people they're not for that. Going back to the theater, Radhika says his was 50% full. Nish, we're going to get to this in just a little bit about the whole boycott movement and boycott this and boycott that. The thing is, talking about the numbers, it was reported that in the first day, this film made 75 crore. Okay. And
Correct.
if by
Yeah.
my math, if it's correct, that's about 12 million US worldwide for the first day. And I think one report said that that's the most for a non holiday weekend for a film. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's 2022. I don't know if that's all time, but that's a good amount of money right there. And so people are excited about this movie. They're going to check it out. But like we saw here in the States with Morbius, that was number one its first weekend. And then it had a huge drop off because it had a negative word of mouth. The question is, will this have a huge drop off after this first weekend? I hope not. The thing about this movie is, I think there's a lot of things, Varun, where you've got to kind of accept it or you're not going
Yeah.
to like it. And you really liked it. I really liked it slash loved it. So we're kind of in the same arena. We were hoping to get Gabe on here, and I was telling Gabe, I said, I hope that you don't like it so we'd have like a nice contrast, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't like this movie. And I had
Yeah.
some great conversations in the comment section of my initial reaction. Shout out to people like VS and Blazing Acharya, where we had a conversation back and forth about, I didn't really like it that much. How come you did, Nick? And I love those kind of conversations. But regardless, we have the comment section here. You guys can let us know if you didn't like it. Tell us why. But one of the reasons why people don't like it, we're going to jump right into it, is because they felt that the love story was unbelievable. They felt that Ranbir Kapoor, and of course, this is Ranbir Kapoor, Alia Bhat, Amitabh Bachchan. SRK makes a cameo in the movie, for crying out loud. I was not aware of that. I'm sure it was announced somewhere. I had no idea. That was really cool. But Ranbir Kapoor and Alia Bhatt's characters, they're just in love like in the first few seconds, basically, right? And a lot of people didn't like that. They said that wasn't believable. I have my own thoughts about it for why I actually liked that aspect. What did you think about that?
So I overall, at the end of the movie, I liked it a lot. I liked it, but initially when I was going through the first half an hour, 1 hour, right, I was also not really convinced because I felt it happened really fast. It is also because of the ambition of Ayan Mukherjee, because he wanted to pack so much in this first part itself, right? So he had no choice but to make the love story and them meeting and falling for each other really quick. He has to do that. There is no other way, because there are so many aspects that he has to cover, right? So initially, even for an Indian love story, I thought it was really quick. Because in India we don't really have the dating and all those culture, right? So directly we will propose someone if you like. So even if I accept it as like old school Indian culture, even for that I felt it was little fast. We were not considering the modern trend of dating someone, then going through the phase of love, then going to the marriage phase. So even if I take it as old school, I felt it was really fast.
Absolutely. I could totally see that. The reason why it didn't bother me was, as someone who loves movies, I've always thought, I'm so sure a lot of people have, if I was to make a movie, this is what I would make a movie about. And not that a love story was always like first and foremost, but I have thought about that. If I was to make an epic love story, what would that be like? Now, after being married to my wife who loves romance, I've learned quite a few things about love stories and what makes them good. But before that, I always thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if you had an epic love story where the guy sees girl and is instantly drawn to her for something more than just how she looks or what she's wearing? I always thought that'd be interesting, like a girl in a crowd of hundreds, and he pinpoints her out and he stares at her, and not a creepy way, but it's like, man, there's something about this girl. And then she does the opposite when she notices him. And that's exactly what we had in this movie. The dude is at the top of whatever he's on the top of. He's looking down. He sees Alia Bhat, and he is just drawn to her. And the other thing for me, that which is why I accept it, is they use the word destiny. Again, in my made up epic love story, these people were going to be meant for each other. You hear about love at first sight. People are meant for one another. And that's a way that you can show that on screen, that I am meant to fall in love with you. I see you. I recognize it right away. You recognize it in me right away. We haven't even spoken to each other, but we are still already drawn to each other. So for me, that's why I was okay with that. But for most people, that doesn't make any sense. And I think a lot of people are getting hung up on that, which is understandably so. But just because of me and my personal story of how I would have had it done that way, it was exactly the same way. Now, the one complaint I have is, as good as Ranbir is in this movie, I love Ranbir Kapoor. I never was a big fan of his. I've only seen a few of his films, but I love him in this movie. I became a big fan of his in this movie. I feel like there are times where he kind of overdoes it, like with his staring and his like dramatic acting, if that makes sense. Kind of just overdoes those emotions. So maybe that, with the combination of, man, it was super quick before he said I love you, maybe that bothered people. But for me, that's why it wasn't a problem. Just because personally, I saw it was okay because of the word destiny.
Yeah, and also the crucial part of those first phase was the dialogues, right? So how he is able to talk, convince her, or what other lines he's using. So that I thought was very weak. The dialogues they were using were either cheesy or really old. I don't know when the first part of the movie was shot, because this movie was in making from in Ayan's mind it was there for past 10 years. So it was also been shot for last 4 years or 5 years. So little out of date. I felt the dialogues were little out of date, and those could have been avoided. The part of the reason what I thought is, this is an epic concept, right? Epic concept about a history and a mythology, everything mixed together. They were trying to tell this story, but they were trying to set this up in the modern world. So I found the writing was little confused between whether to go which side, whether to go completely into the epic side, or keep the modern side as well. They were trying to balance that, and sometimes they were failing it. It's like, for if I want to give you an example, if you are making a play on Shakespeare English, using Shakespeare English, and you're using you are also trying to use words like cool or yep or lol to cater to the modern audience as well. So that is something they were trying to balance. They could have gone by having a good pure Hindi, I mean translation or pure Hindi language, because they were going for this epic story, right? They were trying to add some English words also in between and trying to make it modern and cool. So there, I thought the balance was little off. Otherwise, once the second half went, and even when they were explaining Astraverse, I think the choice of the dialogues or the words were really good, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about, so let's talk about it. The biggest complaint by far is the dialogues, is the screenplay writing for how characters are interacting and the choice of words they're using to explain things. If anyone's ever tried to write a screenplay, I mean, those big nerds like myself have sat down and tried to write just a little, not to submit it to Hollywood, but just write a screenplay. It's not easy because in your mind, if you're going to write a book, you can write whatever you want, but a screenplay, it's just a dialogue to push your story forward. And so it's harder than it looks, but for a film of this magnitude, an epic film like this, the dialogues were just so noticeable. And I myself, I noticed it first 5-10 minutes of the film. I'm sitting there watching. I'm excited. I see SRK on my screen. I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah,
I think I was thinking to myself, did I hear he was a producer? I didn't know he was making a cameo. I had no idea. So I see SRK and I think this is awesome. And right when he starts to talk trash to the people, I'm not talking about the names he gives them, I was fine with that. But as soon as he starts talking to these villains, I was like, oh no. And then as the movie went on and different characters, as they were talking, I was like, oh man, really? Like that's what we chose to say in this epic moment. If you're gonna have an epic
yeah,
action sequence, right? I personally hate it, and it happens in Hollywood all the time. It's in all the James Bond films. These little quips, these little one-liners, it takes you out of the movie when you have a cheesy one-liner,
yeah,
right? Because you're buying in,
yeah,
you're sold to the action, to the scope, to everything, and then someone says some cheesy line. It really takes it out, and it happens so much in this movie. If you were, and this is going to be so rude to say, but if you were to put this film on mute, right? If you were to take out the dialogue
yeah,
and just watch the movie, it's a beautiful, breathtaking visual showcase of a film. The locations they go to, there's so many action sequences we can talk about that were absolutely amazing to watch. It really brings down this film. And for me, it didn't ruin the film because I'm really bought into this whole Astraverse. But man alive, it really brings down the film. What else do you think about the dialogues and how it kind of just took us out of it?
yeah. As I said, the biggest problem that they were facing is trying to balance between the modern world and the Astraverse that they have created. That's why I think they were. Uh, these dialogues were feeling cheesy. Even as you said, Shah Rukh Khan, when he named the villains, right? He named them like Junoon, Raftar, because the lady was looking crazy. He named her crazy. Junoon is basically crazy or madness. And one guy was really fast. He named him Raftar, speed. So yeah, there the writing could have been better because especially Shah Rukh Khan character was not a normal man. He was a scientist, right? So why would he use such silly names to name someone? They are the one who will always come up with these complicated names, scientists. So if Ranbir had named them, so I would have made a little more sense. And they kept using them. I thought they will get rid of them, and then once those characters' names will be introduced, and they will use those names. But they even till the end they were using those same names for them. So yeah, that bothered me.
Yeah,
As you said, the visual was so good, but the maybe should have concentrated more on the dialogues part.
absolutely. There's this great comment here from Kush. He says they spent 400 crore on VFX and 4 cents on the writers. I mean, unfortunately, it's true, and bad
Yeah,
dialogue can ruin a movie
yeah,
100%. He says, "Hey, did you like the movie Macho Man?" Appreciate the shirt. You noticing that? I did like the movie. Okay, overall, I enjoyed the movie. We kind of naturally just started talking about the things that we didn't love, and these are the things that are being spoken about. And this is my point. I appreciate that this comment right here because it gets me to full circle here. So my biggest complaints were the dialogues, 100%, and
Yeah.
Ranbir Kapoor's overacting at times, even though overall I thought he did a very nice job acting, as did Alia Bhat. I think Alia Bhat did a better job acting, but I'm such a super fan of Alia Bhat, maybe I can't see through the rose-colored glasses, so to speak. But I think Amitabh did a great job as well. But SRK as well. But did I like the movie? Yes, I loved the movie. The problem is those two elements, the love story and the dialogues, is really ruining the experience for a lot of people. And I'm the kind of person, I was talking to my friend Ozjod yesterday. He's like, you know, you're really nice when it comes to these to Bollywood films. And I said, I'm nice when it comes to any film. I love movies so much that I try to find what I like about it overall, even if there's some obvious glaring holes like there is in Brahmastra. I can get past those holes. And if the story is good, if I leave that movie pumped up and feeling positive, then overall I'm going to like the movie like I did with Brahmastra. I enjoyed so much of this movie. The things that I got hung up on, oddly enough, is when they're on that little precipice at the very beginning. He's trying to get Alia to follow him, and they're jumping off that little thing on. I thought there was going to be like a big pillow or a mattress or like a pool. No, they're just jumping like 200 feet onto the ground, and they all say, "Oh, it doesn't hurt that much." That made no sense to me. I don't understand why that was. How did that not hurt? That's still a pretty big jump for your average person. Those are the kind of stuff that kind of like I'm scratching my head about. But even with all that stuff, I really, really enjoyed the movie because I think it helps that we have Ranbir and Alia, who are, I think they're married now, right? They're a real life couple. Yeah. You can tell the chemistry and the love they have for each other when it's on film. You can't organically create that. And because Ayan Mukherjee, the director, decided to make this a love story, I just bought into that and I followed along and I enjoyed the different elements about it. Was there anything else, Varun? I mean, you can comment on what I said, but was there anything else that you didn't love about the film that kind of took you away from absolutely loving it?
Yeah, pretty much it. And one thing I was not talking about sequence when they were jumping, right? So immediately after the sequence, they went to Ranbir's home. I mean, he was an orphan, right? So orphan, they were small kids, and they were making fun of Alia's friend. There was a guy, and he was telling, I'm lactose intolerance. They are asking, what is lactose intolerance? All those portions I thought were not necessary. Even showing him as an orphan and showing those children were not necessary because it did not come back, right? Those children were never talked about and everything. So I felt they were forcing a little bit more sympathy on his character. So that part, I think they could have been avoided. I did not hate it, but that is something I was like, okay, but that something which could have been avoided, I felt.
Yeah. Continuing on with that, I promise we're going to get some positive, 100% promise. Continuing on with that, again, we're just moving into it. When we get to the sequence where they're with Amitabh, and we have what they call, Ranbir called the senior citizens, I think he said, right? The senior citizens group of Astra people, Brahmansh. I don't know why they were in the movie because they didn't do anything. You had the younger group that helped out in that final battle. The older group, the only thing we see is they trap, who was it? The rhino or the elephant, whoever that guy was. They trap that guy who has the Nandi Astra now, the bracelet. And there's three of them with theirs. And I get their astras are just objects, but they trap him with theirs. And he's able to break free and still able to push Alia again off another cliff where she somehow survives. I don't understand what their purpose was. I thought they were going to have a moment, and they should have, and maybe they will in the next film. I thought they were going to have this awesome moment, even for like 5 seconds in the main ending battle against Junoon, where they were able to like almost defeat her. That would have been awesome to see all the things that they did. We saw the younger people with their Green Lantern arrows and all that kind of stuff, but we didn't get to see them do anything. Why do you think they were in the movie if they really didn't do anything?
I think they will have a bigger part in the next one. That's what I'm imagining, because they have used Dimple Kapadia, and who is also a famous actress there. So they have shown.
Yeah, she
Only
didn't
thing
do anything
what she
either.
did is she was acting like an cab driver. Like she was picking up Alia from here to there and ashram, and she brought her back. Right. So that is the only thing she did. So yeah, I was also not sure. The only thing I can think of is they were showing that how this has been still maintained. They have to show some older people, right, who are maintaining this from past 30 years, 40 years. So to show that aspect, I think they kept them still, because these young kids are not ready, right? They were still training, so they were not ready to take care of those astras completely. So yeah, that's why they might have shown that this is something which is all generation are participating. So yeah, maybe that's why they have showed.
Yeah, not using Dimple Kapadia for anything besides, like you said, a taxi driver. That was unfortunate for sure. There was a comment here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, this is just funny from Garav. This is not Brahmastra. This is Kalank Part Two. Ouch. Um, that's just I'm not too sure about that. But all right, so those are my biggest complaints I had with this movie. Let me tell you why I really, really liked this film. First of all, I love what Ayan Mukherjee is doing by creating his own Astraverse, his own cinematic universe, if you will.
Universe.
Yes, not easy to do. I mean, we are on the heels of Kaithi and Vikram and the LCU, right? That's a different type of
Yeah.
universe. But Ayan is bringing something that's, I give him a lot of credit. The history of Hinduism and a lot of different figures and whatnot into a supernatural, fantastical film. Not easy to do. The cinematography for this film is absolutely top notch. I can't tell you other films that I think are much better than the cinematography, much better than also the visual effects. I'm shocked at anyone that complains about the VFX in this film, because the VFX is top notch. It was one of the things I was worried about, because we live in a world today where VFX, people demand it and have to have it. We want to make things look as real as possible. And for this movie, with the exception of one thing, the VFX was absolutely phenomenal. I love the locations that they were going to. I love the little, I don't even know what it was. You can tell me more because you know about India way more than I do. But the area that they're in, where where the artist, what was his name? Anish, right?
Yeah.
Where the artist is
Nagarjuna.
there.
Nagarjuna Pedi. Yeah.
Yeah. Where they're underneath that little thing and they're fighting that one bad guy, right? That whole area was
Yeah.
awesome. Where they were the car chase scene. I mean, that car chase scene. I'm watching
Yeah.
that car chase scene and Alia Bhat's head, and I get it, it's a movie. The head's this far away from the ground, and Ranbir's trying to drive. Was that intense or what? I mean, I absolutely thought like she's gonna die right now. Like she is so close to dying. That was absolutely fantastic. All the different shots, all the different locations, the movie as a whole was such a great experience for me to experience, to where the small nitpicky things here or there did not bother me overall. And I understand that the love story took a lot of people out of it, but again, for me, it didn't. So it wasn't a factor whatsoever. Um, there's so many great things I want to talk about. What were some of your favorite parts about the movie?
Yeah. Visuals, clearly. I saw this movie in 3D. I generally don't like 3D movies. It's been like maybe 10 years since I would have seen the last 3D movie. I did not had any
Oh,
choice.
fair enough. You
If
saw it
I
in 3D. Cool.
yeah, if I had to watch this in Hindi and in a good quality theater, I had no option, but I have to see it in 3D. For some reason, in Hyderabad, they have released 90% of Hindi screens in 3D, and and 10% were 2D. So I went it reluctantly, but this is one of the movies which have done really well in 3D as well. I feel, especially when there was glass breaking and those astras and green color. I think it was Nagastra, but when it was coming on the screen, it was really giving a very good visual experience. So yeah, the colors were popping up, and there are a lot of small things, right? Whenever the glass is breaking or rocks or everything were breaking into small pieces, those pieces were really shown very well in the 3D. So visually, I really enjoyed it, and the favorite scene for me was the ashram where it was located, right? So uh, I would imagine 90 to 95% of it is CG, right? Except the close-up shots when they were showing the ashram, everything would have been CG. But still, it looked very good, very real. And whenever they were using astras, also those colors and everything were coming out nicely, and they were able to differentiate the colors as well. One thing which I also very liked a lot. Initially, I was not sure about the color of the fire which was coming out of uh, Agnihastra. I understood why they made it little pinkish and reddish, because the actual fire was orange, right? So whenever he was feeling it, whenever he was able to invoke the fire within him, it was changing color. So visually, it was explaining that when he was feeling the fire and when he was not feeling it. So it was very good differentiation between the fire which is already present there on the ground and which he is creating with his powers. So that also I really liked. It was very difficult to differentiate those astras, so many astras with colors. They did a good job. I felt.
That's interesting. I didn't pick up on that colors because the red fire for most of this film, that was my one complaint with the VFX, was really bothering me. Like whenever they showed fire, it was like a really strong hint of red. And I told myself the director's doing this for a purpose. I don't know what. So
Yeah.
you're on to something right there. Very, very awesome in our take on that. Gabe's in the house. What's up, Gabe? Oshot, how are you guys doing? Gabe wants to know how was the villain played. Let's talk about the villain here. I think that the villain. Let me charge my computer here before it dies on me. First of all, and Jabby mentioned this in their review. I watch Jabby Koi all the time, and he's absolutely right. It's hard to be afraid of her because she's so hot. Okay, I mean that's the first thing. Very, very attractive villain, and I thought that was a hilarious take on him. I'm not going to steal his take, but I agree. I thought she was good. I didn't think she was great. Okay, Gabe will
Yeah.
not like her as a villain. I can tell you that right now. My main problem with the villains, and I like that there was three of them because man, they really built up the intensity. They built up the conflict. It was no easy walk in the park. It wasn't like Ranbir was a Mary Sue or was not Mary Sue, but there's a phrase out there where they just know how to do everything right away, right? He was learning and he was figuring things out, and they really raised the stakes. The problem was sometimes the villains were a little too OP, right? When that guy
Yeah.
had the Nandi Astra, that dude was unstoppable. No one could stop him. When the artist who's had it for decades, we're assuming, had it, he could barely do anything with
Mhm.
it, right? And so
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
you don't have to make the heroes weaker to make the villains stronger. So the villains could have been better, but I like that there was three of them. I like that they wreak havoc. I just don't know, why was Janoon so OP? Where did this come from? What was her story? She says at the very end that it's not her life, it's Dev's life and all that kind of stuff. I just wish with all the exposition we had a little bit on where she was coming from. It would have humanized her a little more. It would have made her a villain that we better understood and therefore would have been rooting for a little bit more. And I felt like that aspect was taken away. And I get it. It's already almost a 3-hour film. But we could have had something because they were alluding to it. Maybe I missed it, Varun. Did I miss something about her backstory and why she was controlled by Dev? Or Dave, excuse me.
Yeah. Repeat the last part. I'm sorry. It was your voice.
Oh, my bad.
It was
Do you
close.
know
Yeah.
why Janoon was so devoted to Dave, or how she got controlled by him? Do they mention that at all that I missed, or they just not really mention it?
No. No, why she was devoted to him, that part they did not mention. Feel she was just a device. She don't have any importance other than just being a device for Dev, because Dev is physically cannot be present there, right? He's he's not dead, he's not alive, he's somewhere in between. Assuming he don't have his physical body with him, so he has this power like Voldemort. Maybe he can control the body of others. So they were in possession of Dev. So that's why they were doing that. And one thing why she was so much overpowered, I think they explained a little bit, because they had already had the fire astra, agni astra, and water astra also, right? So jala astra, because when Ranbir was spreading the fire, she was able to create rain and create water, and uh, she was basically able to cancel off the fire. So initially also, when Amitabh Bachchan was explaining, he explained that Dev has killed few of the people who are having the astras, and he took them like he at least had four astras, I guess. So I think he was able to channel those powers to her also, Junoon also, and she was that's why she was more powerful than other people. Initially, when Shah Rukh Khan was fighting with them, right? I thought there will be little more fight that will be given by Shah Rukh Khan, because he also has an astra, Varun. So he was trying to escape them. He was not actually trying to fight them. Even when he was throwing things at them, they were able to dodge it, or they were able to take it. So, and they were keep coming back. So that part, they created the curiosity, and they explained like why they were like little more powerful than each one of them, because they had more astras with them.
Yeah, going back to SRK, he was cracking me up. Even with some of the cheesy dialogue, he was making me laugh. I mean, he's talking to them as they're trying to find the artifact they're trying to find, and he's just like right there talking trash. I mean, that was pretty funny. The guy could fly, for crying out loud, with his Astra. He could absolutely jump up and fly, and I thought it was hilarious because where does he choose to go? To his same building, to where they're waiting for him. I thought that was kind of weird. Kush wants to know: do you see any similarities between Janoon and Scarlet Witch? Not really. I've seen these comparisons online, people talking about it. The red
Just because of the colors. Yeah.
smoke, I understand that, but she got all of her powers from Dave. She didn't have that herself. She wasn't able to manipulate them unless she begged for mercy and begged for more help. And then she got the pendants to mind control different people. So for
Yeah.
me, I didn't even think about it until people were making the comparisons, but I can kind of see it. I really can. Funsky wants us to compare Brahmastra and RRR. Maybe we'll do that in just a little bit. But there was, going back to the action sequences, they really are what helped build this movie for me. And the last battle sequence at the end was fantastic, but I felt like it was 5, 10, 15 minutes too long. Like it seemed like it lasted forever, right? It just kept going back and forth. But I did like how they gave importance to some of the minor characters, I can't remember their names, that helped fight with Shiva. I thought that was really
Yeah.
cool. And I also like, I don't hear anyone talking about this. In Batman versus Superman, I like the unedited version, the uncut version, but the original film has so many issues. And one of my biggest complaints with that movie is Lois Lane is so prevalent in that movie, but she does nothing. She's just, they make situations for her to be able to help out where she would never be able to help out as a mortal. I felt like Isha, since she's one of our main characters, she's in this movie. I personally felt like Ayan found some actual plausible things for her to do throughout this battle sequence, because I was waiting for Varun. I was waiting so much, and I didn't want it to happen. I was waiting for them to say, oh, and Isha has some powers that we didn't realize. Isha is someone's second cousin, and she's going to have water come out of her. And for the longest time, I thought she was a double agent, that she was going to be like the ultimate villain. Like I was like waiting for this horrible plot device to happen, and it never did. But I felt like she was able to contribute in ways to where I didn't feel like she got in the way. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you stole words out of my mouth. Actually, I thought only I felt that little shady about Alia Bhatt's character. Maybe it is Lokesh Kankaraj effect that we are suspecting each and everyone and
Professional.
expecting more out of them. Yeah, and they did indicate that initially also she was falling for him quickly, and even if he told that he can control the fire and everything, also she was okay with everything. Immediately she was accepting, and there was a scene in Varanashi when Moni Roy, right? When Junun was passing by her, they had a look for 2 seconds.
Yep.
It was not just like, sorry, I did not say it. They had a moment there for 2 seconds. There I was thinking like, is she villain? Is she also, with her and all? So I think since everyone felt it, I think Ayan intentionally did it. Maybe they will explain it little more in the second half. So that the end scene where he was able to sacrifice, they have shown like sacrifice is more powerful than even Brahmastra. So that part maybe I think justified a little bit for me. Otherwise, I was suspecting Alia throughout the movie. So like, yes, now she will come up with something, or she will have some secret hidden power that she will show. Yeah.
Especially since she survived falling off that cliff. I mean, I thought she was done. And I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, there's even another sequence where it's almost like that Spider-Man dilemma. If I continue to date her, she's going to always be in harm's way. So I got to break things off. And it was like he was thinking that for a moment when he's talking to Amitabh's character there at night. And I liked the love story, so I didn't want that to happen. And luckily, that didn't happen. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
music for a second. I personally absolutely loved the opening music sequence. I understand it doesn't really have anything to do with the movie. I understand it's weird that he's this DJ and he's like a rock star or whatever. I get all that kind of stuff. I understand it's a long sequence, but I loved it because I felt like it introduced the youthful nature of Shiva, kind of give us a quick little rundown of where he's at in his life, what is he doing, which is why I do think it was kind of essential to add the orphanage part because it showed that he cares about people, right? If you're going to be a hero, you're going to need to care about people, and he cares about those orphans because he was an orphan. I love the fact that he was like all their dads. At first, I'm like, he has this many kids? What in the world? But no, he's just kind of adopted them in the orphanage there. But I love that opening number, right? I want you to talk about that, if you will. But also, my favorite song is the song. I don't even think it had any English subtitles to it. I think it was called Deva or something like that, where he's learning
Deva.
how to use the powers. I
Yeah.
thought that was so cool because we know he's going to learn how to use it by the end of the movie. We know that. So how are you going to implement it? And you could do it real quick, like, oh, hey, I can create fire. Awesome, let's go. Or you can have this whole, it reminds me like a Rocky training montage where he's learning different things. He's lighting up the torches or whatever. That song was so fantastic, even though I had no idea what was being said. And that whole sequence was great. So I felt like the songs, for the most part, were good. I do feel like they attributed somewhat. The other songs were kind of hit or miss. Like you didn't really need to have those ones. But those two in particular, I really, really liked. What did you think about the music?
So yeah, talking about the music, the first song I have a different opinion. I thought the first song, Dance Ka Booth, was the weakest song. Visually, it was very good, but the lyrics and everything were too cheesy. And again, the same point which I was trying to make, trying to balance modernness and the epicness. So the lyrics were hit and miss. Dance Ka Booth, I felt like Darda Disco in Om Shanti Om. At least Darda Disco in Om Shanti Om, they know that
I
it
didn't see the
is
whole movie.
a song, it's a funny song. They were accepting it as a funny song, and it end up to be a very good hit. Like people liked it because they know it is a funny song. They were going for that. But this song had funny lyrics, but they were trying to be make it serious. Song which I liked a lot is Kesaria. No surprise, right? The song which they were in the boat, and they basically when they went to see the artist, they had a song. That's the most famous song everywhere. So that I really liked, and Deva also I liked. Kesari I heard it before, but Deva I did not heard it before. And in the movie with visuals also, I thought it was good. And talking about having songs in training montage, I think more movies you see, more you will realize that I don't think there is any training montage in Indian movie without song. They always have songs, and they will have these training montages. So yeah, I didn't that did not surprise me, but yeah, I liked it, how they have used it with that phase of the movie. Yeah.
How dare you use your vast Indian movie knowledge against me? How dare you? So, I think I missed that song you're talking about because without giving too much information, I drank too much water before the movie. Just saying. And how dare they not give me an interval, like an intervention that wasn't like a boom. Let's go to the second half of the movie. Can I get a bathroom break for crying out loud? Is that against the rules or something? So I think I heard that one song that you're talking about, and anyways, too much information. So the ending sequence, like I said, it was a little too long for me. They killed off Janoon 35 times, and she kept coming back to life. The one kid, I mean, that was heartbreaking, right? What was the kid's name?
I don't remember.
Mincine or something like that. I can't remember what his name was. But
yeah, some
he was
funny
so
like
cool
that.
because he literally has both girls float. He says, Janoon, bye. He says, Alia, stay. And then he lets go of her. Is it too much to ask to have the airbender kid, to have Avatar, to have Ong, for crying out loud? Is it too much to ask to have him push her a little farther off the ledge? Like, what in the world is she holding on to, for crying out loud? Because she's able to still come up. I think she stabs him, right? I mean, how jacked up is that? I mean, that was pretty dark. Bye, kids. Sorry. That was really, really tough. She comes back to life, and I honestly was so annoyed at that point because I'm like, can they just kill her off? But then it built up to what I thought was so awesome at the end. We knew it was coming because even I can't call him Amitabh. What's his character's name? I have no idea. Guru, whatever his name, Guruji, whatever they called him. He says to him, you've got to figure out how to create it on your own at some point. So we knew it was going to come. They set the breadcrumbs there. When he learned how to like protect himself and Isha and create his own fire out of nothing, I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that sequence was pretty awesome. You're shaking your head, so maybe you don't agree. I don't know. But
no, I
okay. I thought it was really, really cool, and I thought it was a great moment. I thought the music, the soundtrack, the score in the background amplifies. It was a really, really cool moment, and it gives us that hero moment that we want, and it was the best way to end this first one. I did not want to see Dave come in his full power and glory. I wanted to save that, and like we got with the teaser, that's part 2, Dave, right? I love the way this one ended, even if that sequence was a little too long.
Yeah. So as I said, the end scene where he was able to face Brahmastra, even Tenzing, right? His name was Tenzing. Yeah. So the way he was able to hold off Brahmastra using only one astra. Brahmastra is basically the combination of all astras. So it is most powerful. Even using one astra that he has, which is not what do you call that? He don't have the control completely on it yet, right? Until that point, even with that skill set, he was able to hold off, and he was able to beat Brahmastra. Was really cool, and that I think justified a lot of things. The love story and everything, whichever was showing in initially, right? Which I was not feeling 100%. I think when I saw that sequence, when I felt what they were selling. Like, yes, even though this guy was in this universe, he has the responsibility of protecting the entire world. The first preference for him still is Alia. Yeah, his girlfriend, and he wants to protect her. So he was able to give up everything to protect her. So that justified. Like, I immediately felt like that is how a common man would think, right? Instead of thinking of seeing the entire world, he will think about the one person he's loving first. So yeah, that I really liked it, and the music was very good. But as you said, what happened with the last sequence is it was what to say. The trajectory was not high always. There were cool sequence happening, and there were slow movements, and there was again fighting was happening, and it was slowing down. So that I think it did not sit very well. Even the music was loud, very loud a lot. That's why it would have been better if they had choreographed it better. So yeah, otherwise the end sequence, which I think it made everything better.
Yeah, and it alludes to my next point with the pacing, which is another weakness of this film. The pacing was off at times, and Varun just explained a great example of how in that final sequence. But overall, this is a very ambitious undertaking that Ayan has taken over, and I feel like he has hit his mark, even if it wasn't the softest landing, so to speak. I really enjoy this movie. I'm excited for the second one, but honestly, I
Yeah,
don't have a lot of faith in the second one, if that makes sense, because the whole thing's going to be about our. This first one had everything. It had the old people, it had the new people, it had our new characters, it had this love story, it had this journey where you're going around India and whatnot. The second one is just titled Dave, and I understand it could be a lot of elements into that, and I'm sure we're probably going to get the return of the mother somehow or all this kind of stuff, but I don't know where they're going to go from here because there was so much in this first one. It seemed, and maybe I'm just getting hung up on the single title. I don't know, the single word, but it seems like I don't know what they're going to do with the next one because Dave's going to show up. He's going to cause all this. Is he going to be like the Thanos where he creates all these issues and they got to bring even more people to stop this or that? That would be interesting. I don't know where they're going to go from here. No one really does. Do you have any predictions, any ideas, are you excited for the next one? Or are you kind of like me where you think like, I don't really think it can be much better because they put so much in this first one?
so yeah, two things. First thing, what I think about the second part will be is it will be all about Amruta and Dev, right? I think they will go back. It will be like a prequel. They will show history, like how they were, what happened,
Okay.
like why Dev turned into a bad guy, and how Amruta was his wife. Still, for when it comes to duty, she was at the right side, right? So that conflict and that fight, I think they will show how he took other astras from other people as well, right? So because he had more than one astra, they also told that he killed other peoples and took their weapons as well. So I think they will show that, and also I think there will be a confrontation between Shiva and Dev also at the end once they finish showing up their story. So yeah, that I feel will be the story. And one thing I'm little bit appreciate is in one of the scene, Moni Roy, the Junoon mentioned his name as Brahmadev.
Right.
Everyone calling him Brahma. I mean Dev and all. Brahmadev, if you don't know, he is the creator of the world. He is the one who created all these astras. But uh, I hope that is only coincidence, because if he is really Brahmadev, no one can defeat him, right? He is the one who created all the weapons. He created Brahmastra as well, which is the most powerful astra. So he is a god basically. So I don't think Dev is Brahmadev, the Brahmadev we all know. I think he is just a guy who has one of the astras, and it happened to be his name is also Brahmadev. So yeah, that I felt confused. I hope he is not Brahmadev, and yeah, then he will be OP to the next level if
Yeah,
he
and
is Brahmadev. So yeah, maybe
they would have to get like for anyone that knows the Captain Planet type characters, you'd have to get people that were the masters of all the elements, kind of like almost like an avatar, where Shiva with the fire, you got to have someone with the wall, all that kind of stuff. And I think they already have that in the works with the younger. What I think they even said it in the movie, like we're the younger Avengers or something like that. I thought that was kind of funny, where they had the younger group moving forward, who are they're going to have to team up and fight. Dave, I just he's going to be. We know he's going to be OP. He's going to have to be because they built it up so much. It'll be interesting, but I'll be there day one, week one to watch the second one. I hope it does really well. There's this great comment here from Skesh. I like this. He says, "What I want at the end of the day, experiments must go on." I agree. This is a big undertaking.
Yeah.
Let the flaws turn into learning, and obviously the success will pump them up for going beyond the limits. That is what I'm talking about. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to try. You've got to do something different. And they're trying with this. And yes, we know they're going to make the next one. They've already announced it, for crying out loud. Why not learn from the mistakes? Listen, as hard as it is to do, listen to the negativity and learn from that.
Work on it.
And figure it out. George Lucas created one of the biggest movie franchises of all time, Star Wars, but he is not known for his screenwriting. His dialogues are atrocious in the prequels, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like the prequels to Star Wars. So you've got to learn from that, and you've got to bring someone in for some assistance and for some help. Shai wants us to do PS1 next. That could be very possible. That's the end of the month. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And there's a comment here as we're wrapping down here for Brahmastra. I don't know where it was. Someone says, do you like Hollywood movies or Bollywood movies more? I'm going to obviously choose Hollywood because that's what I grew up watching, right? It would be very disingenuous for me to say, oh, Indian movies are way better. I didn't mean Bollywood, I meant Indian films. To say they're better when I've only been watching for a few years. But I enjoy them quite a bit to the point where I'm going there. This is how much I'm excited for Brahmastra. Thursday night when I saw it was the opening day for the NFL season. I'm a huge NFL fan. I love football. And the very first game was Thursday night. And I decided, you know what? I'll watch that later. I'm going to Brahmastra right now at 5 o'clock. So I love Indian films. I love the experience. I love learning and watching them. But Hollywood is my first love. So talking about this, because I know it's coming up a lot, and I appreciate those for being patient. What is better? Okay, I hate doing this because films are different. These are different industries, different regions of India, all that kind of stuff. It's not like it's the same director making different films, or it's not like which one you like better, Brahmastra 1, 2, or 3. But I understand why the question is being asked. Me being a Westerner, me being a foreigner to Indian film, Indian cinema, what do I like more? And someone had mentioned RRR, they had mentioned Vikram, and they had mentioned Brahmastra. So let's just stick it with those three. Okay. I think RRR is an obvious winner, right?
Yeah.
This Rajamouli is, as far as Indian directors, it's him, and it's already Lokesh. That's how much I love Lokesh. Those two filmmakers, yes. And now, again, I only have a few years experience before Varun beats me up. But I love SS Rajamouli. I love his films. Bahubali, I'm biased. It was my first Indian film. I still have that Part One as one of my favorite Indian films of all time. I love that movie. And what he did with RRR, where it wasn't a continuation of Bahubali. He was taking some historical figures, and he had like this buddy cop bromance. It was fantastic. It's a fantastic movie. And I'm not sure if you guys know this, but here in the States, it's picking up steam still. People are discovering this movie, and it's, for a lot of them, it's their first Indian film, which for me gets me really, really excited. So you can't really compare Brahmastra to Triple.
Yeah.
Triple R is going to beat it up every single time. Vikram was an absolutely my chin on the floor type of experience. I don't think you can compare Vikram to Brahmastra because Vikram's going to beat it up every single time. I think it's more fair to compare Brahmastra to something of its own genre, which Varun can help me out with this. I don't know too many other films that are of this nature, of this scope, of this scale. Can you think of any that would be fair enough to compare it to?
No, I don't think so. Something which has balanced the modern world and the universe, which is showing the history and these powers, and they have tried like on smaller scale. I think on this scale with this VFX, in recent times I don't think so. There's nothing to compare, even for me.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. Some of us are getting a little testy in the conversation. Easy, peace, love, no war, my friends. Varun, when I
Yeah.
talked about Lokesh being number two, you weren't too happy about that. Could you care to expound on that just a little bit?
So talking about PS1, right? Maniratnam. I think he is one of my favorite. I think in some aspects he can even beat SS Rajamouli. SS Rajamouli
What?
was very recent. Yeah, very recent, and I'm a Telugu guy. SS Rajamouli is my guy. I have all the reasons to support him first before other directors, right? But even I think some of the movies which he made in the past, like Bombay or Dilse, are like classics. He did not had the budget also which Rajamouli had. He did not have those action sequence supporting his vision, everything. He used to make this simple love story kind of movie with a message, and suddenly this people from nowhere standing up against this huge issue or something which is way bigger than them, and something like Brahmastra, right? So normal ordinary people going against this big issue and still facing it. Those kind of movies he used to make, and yeah, I really like him. And also there's Sanjay Leela Bansali, and there is Ashutosh, who made Lagan, and also I'm forgetting a lot of his movies, but Lagan and all these epic movies he's known for, Mohinjadaro and other movies. They were not very accurate in terms of history, but he is the one who started making this epic movies. Jodha Akbar he made with I mean Hrithik Roshan. So yeah, so these are my still my favorites. I think after RRR, maybe Rajamouli came to number one position a little bit, but still I feel these are great. Yeah, Roja is also very good. Nayagan, Bombay, these are all classics. There are Tamil movies dubbed in Telugu and Hindi. Still, they did very well, and they came out in 90s. So yeah, that shows the capability
This
of him.
reminds me
Yes.
of the wise man trying to teach the young child how life is. I love it. I absolutely love it because again, my experience is not too deep. And he's like, "Really, Nick? You're going to choose two directors that are just current right now and you're going to forget the last 60 years of cinema? Okay, let me teach you a few things." That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. I I'm a product of the now right now. What can I say? But I'm excited because you mentioned what's his name, Mani Ratnam. You mentioned him, and
Yeah.
that could be our next live review that we do. Who knows? So with all the negativity, and there's some positivity for Brahmastra, I still highly recommend this movie because this is something,
Yeah.
this
Absolutely.
franchise, unless the worst happens and they just put a kibosh on it, this franchise is going to move forward. And I feel like as film fans, whether you're from India or any other part of the world, we've got to support these type of films because of the ambition alone is something that we've got to take attention to. And for those who want Bollywood to be great again, because Bollywood is in not the best place right now, not the best state of affairs,
Yeah.
and it's snowballed. It's not just Sushant. It's snowballed from a lot of things.
Yeah.
We are all going to benefit as movie fans when Bollywood is not back on top, but is producing quality cinema once again, time and time again, and not relying on certain tropes. So my plea for anyone watching this, let's try to be as positive as possible. If you didn't like the movie, I totally understand it and I respect that. And I would want to have a conversation with you anytime about it because I love talking about movies. But to boycott films, to not watch it, to give negative reviews when you haven't seen the film, that's just pointless. Let's try not to do that. Let's try to support these films. And if there's certain things we don't like, then let's voice those opinions. But I feel like this film is definitely worth your time. I feel like the acting is above average. I feel like the action, the VFX alone.
Very
America
good.
makes action movies not for acting, not for love, not for anything but action and visual effects. This movie has those. It has a love story. I agree that if you're comparing it to Marvel, Marvel doesn't do much in the love story, but I don't think Ayan's trying to do Marvel. I think Ayan's trying to do Ayan for crying out loud. And I appreciate that. So I really like this movie. I'm going to give Brahmastra a grade of a solid B. I'm going to give it a solid B. Now, that might be lower than my initial reaction, but I'm telling you, my initial reaction, I was super excited about it. But I've had 2 days to think about my thoughts, 2 days to think about why other people may not have liked it. And it doesn't change my opinion, but it makes me think a little more about it. I'm giving it a solid B. It's an above average film. It's a film that I think is worth the spectacle, worth everything, but it's not a perfect film. So that's my grade. Varun, are you going to beat me or am I going to beat you, my friend? What's your grade?
Yeah, before giving the grade, I will want to touch upon the point of these all these boycott trends, right? So two things. Talking purely about this movie, I think in the second part they will have real little bit more breathing space because they have to set up so many things, right? The love story, the universe, and we came to know about his parents, and he learned about his powers. He went through the training montage. They really gave a clear picture about different astras, at least to most astras. So they had so many things that they have to do in this first movie. So it was tightly packed. That's why they those few important things were neglected. Talking about RRR and these movies, Rajamouli, what he did always in his movies is he will concentrate so much on the emotions first. He will emotionally hook you to those characters and the story. Then he will build up an action scene on it. There is a strong base for his action. So here, because Ayan had so much to do, he neglected the most important part, those dialogues on initial love story. He could have spent more time on it. So that's why it was looking like that. I think second part he will all he has already everything set up, right? So he will have a more breathing space to explore whatever he wants to do. He can dive into more action part. So there I think he will have I think I'm expecting the second part to be little more better than the first part. And these boycott trends, right? I'm happy if someone watches a movie, and if I give it A plus and the person gives it E. Even then, if the person watches and he is arguing with me on those points which he did not like genuinely, then I'll accept it. But most of the boycott trends are coming from people not even watching the movies. I went to Google after I watched the movies. The rating was 4.1 IMDb. So I went to the negative reviews, all the 1 star ratings, and checked. I checked. Most of the comments were either copy paste, one person creating different accounts and he's posting those reviews and giving negative reviews, or those comments were really old, like three months, even 1 year old. I don't know how IMDb allowed them to post a review like 1 year old. The 1 year old read that Ranbir and Alia, these are already rich kids and rich people. Why you are watching those movies and giving them more money? That's not the criteria to give the rating for this particular movie, right? It's a personal opinion on the people who have worked on the movie. So that's something I did not like. uh, Rate the movie as per the credit of the movie. And also I feel, even as a South Indian, I'm happy, but there's a trend that is going on in Hindi audience that now watching South Indian movies and other movies is become like a cool thing, trend thing. So they were if two movies are coming up, right, so they are straight away creating a negative impact on the Hindi film, and they're telling, oh, South is making better movies. Maybe you can also go and watch Hindi movies, then only you will come to know, right, whether it is good or not. I agree, recently there are movies which are very bad. Even Shamshera, which Ranbir acted, right? It was not at all good. So first at least watch it. And because the negative effect which you are talking about is already showing, there are many movies who were in the process of shooting, they kept aside because Lal Singh Chaddha did not do well, or Shamshera did not do well, because those producers, those makers who are linked up with them, they are doubting themselves. They are backing up. They are reducing the budget and they're reducing the amount they are spending on VFX. So it is always a continuous cycle, right? The more money they generate, the more money they will put in, and they will make better movies, right? Same producers, same directors, same makers, they will come up with a better movie. So So it is very important to encourage them also. Because of one or two things, I don't think they should boycott the movie, or what they said outside the movie should not affect the movie. That's something I felt should not happen. Overall, it will create a negative impact for the Indian film industry. So yeah, that's something I thought of telling. And talking about the grade of this movie, I'll give B plus, little more, because I really like the concept. They were trying trying to achieve something which is impossible, not done before. For the ambition, I'm giving them a little more points there. Yeah,
Wow, so he did beat me. I see how it is. B plus. Well done, Varun. It's interesting how just the two of us, we're just two people. We really, really enjoyed it. I think you're really onto something. Watch the movie. If you like it,
yeah,
great. If you don't, don't. And you can voice those opinions in comment sections. That's why social media exists. If you haven't seen it, then
yeah,
why are you saying anything? My last point about Brahmastra, a lot of people are comparing it to superhero films, Marvel. I get that. If we're going to compare it to a superhero film, which I think we should, if we're going to, I would compare this one. It's more like a DC quality film, but it has like a Marvel tone to it, if that makes sense. It's
yeah,
it's not the best of the best, so it's not in that Marvel. And I'm a DC guy, but the DC films are either darker or they're just not as well made and funny and jokes. There weren't a lot of jokes in this movie, and whether you like it or not, it makes the experience a little nicer. Watch the movie where there's more jokes than just a few that were in this movie. But with that being said, we appreciate everyone for joining us here. We had more people join us than with our last live review, so that makes us happy. If you're new to Born Reviews, I do movie reactions every few weeks, and then we do reviews for it. We started doing live reviews. If you want more live reviews, let us know. If you prefer just like the bigger movies that come out, the recent whatever, let us know about that. Comment below. Let us know what you think we should do here on Born Reviews, and we're going to do it. Don't forget to get your requests in. Check out our Patreon. Check out the memberships, all that kind of stuff. But with that being said, I hope nothing but the best for this film franchise. I do think it's going to have a big first weekend, and I think it's going to drop off quite a bit the second week, and I hope I'm wrong with that. But for a 400 crore, 410 crore budget, you want it to be successful so that there's no hesitation to make other ones. Support the film industry no matter where you're from. And we appreciate you guys joining us. Varun, any final thoughts?
no, as we said, watch the movie and judge the movie based on the credit. I know even with those negative reviews, right? The number of shows that movie has shown on from February, from Friday to Saturday have increased. They are also putting on more shows. As someone was talking about 1 a.m. show, right? So I saw in news they were also starting 6 a.m. shows, and even after 10:30 show in the night, they are adding more shows in the night. So there are people who want to watch the movie and they are interested in going for it. The only thing is that the negative trolls and negative people are louder. That's the only thing I don't like. So there are 90% of the movie people are like us. They will not care about positive or negative. They want to watch the movie, they will watch it and give a credit based on that. I hope people will not go believe those negative reviews and all, and they go and watch the movie. Yeah, that's a hope for me. Yeah, overall I liked it. I can even watch this movie once again. I did not had time today. Maybe tomorrow I'll go and watch it again in 2D.
Love it. Yeah, I'm one of the few guys that doesn't like 3D. I tried it with Thor: Love and Thunder, and it's just not my cup of tea. But a lot of people are saying you got to check it out in 3D. Check out the other reviews if you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't, see if you want to watch it. But we definitely recommend you checking it out. Thank you so much for joining us here. I want to thank Varun for joining me once again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for the comments. And until next time,
Take care, guys.
goodbye, everybody.